tracking our contacts. I cannot possibly stress the importance of this enough. Tracking our contacts is going to be so crucial when it comes to following up, when it comes to closing sales, when it comes to building those relationships. You've already created, or you should have created, a contact list. And we already talked about the importance of always having a list to work off of. But you need to have some sort of way to track the conversations that you're having, where you're at with people in the process. We're going to talk about follow-ups here in a little bit in another video. But it's important that you're tracking the kinds of conversations that you're having with people, where you're having them, what it is that you're talking about. An example is you might be talking to somebody and the price is just too much for them. You've given them the education, you've provided the information, but right now they just can't afford a particular product. Well, what happens next month when that product's on sale, but you didn't track that conversation? You might be lucky enough to remember and go back to that person and say, hey, last month we talked about this product. It was too much then. It's on sale for this amount. I want to make sure you were aware of that. And they may or may not be able to do it at that time. But it's so important that you track that so you know. It's important that you track if somebody tells you no, why they told you no, when they told you no. Maybe they're getting ready to go on vacation and they'll want to talk to you when they return. Maybe they are about to have a baby and it's going to be a couple weeks before they can start with you. These are the kinds of things that you want to be tracking when you talk to people so that you know where they're at. Not just for the sale purposes, but for genuinely building relationships. We're in the business of building relationships so that we can figure out how our products and services can best help somebody live a happy, healthier, and more fulfilling life. I always make note when somebody tells me they're pregnant, roughly when they're having their baby, so that throughout their pregnancy, I can check in on them, see how they're doing. When they have the baby, I can make sure I'm keeping my eye out so that I congratulate them. Be aware of how long it is before they might be ready to come back, and then start talking to them, building that relationship again around getting them into a group. But if I'm not tracking that, I'm not going to know. And in the beginning, it might feel like you don't need to because you're maybe not having the volume of conversations. And so it's easy enough for you to just scroll through your messenger. Well, one, we don't want to rely on our messenger. But two, you're going to get to a point in time where your messenger's not going to be able to keep up with the conversations that you're having. So how do we do this? How do we track? Gosh darn it, I wish I could tell you. You're going to have to play around with different systems to figure out what works best for you. You might be computer savvy and you might prefer to do things on an Excel spreadsheet. You might want to chart it so that you can just click date last talk to somebody so that you know when you want to follow up with them again. Or you might have a tab that says, I want to follow up with this person on this date, and so you can quickly navigate and find it. There are other people that like to use Google Sheets or a Word document. They have a bunch of pay services out there now because people are cashing in on this idea of needing to track contacts. That's not something I recommend that you go for right away, but maybe in time that's something that you want to look at. I've tried a bunch of different ways, but for me right now, paper and pen works best. I need a better system, but for me that ends up working. And I just kind of flip through the pages and I make notations and I know exactly what I'm looking for and when to follow up with people. So guys, it's important that you start this now. Start this as you're starting your business. You don't want to go back a year from now saying, I wish I kept better track of the conversations that I'm having. Now I'm going to include in the link below here, below this video, a tracking that Beachbody gives as a tool that you can use. And there's, again, more training on this, more options out there. But play around, see what feels right to you, and start tracking those conversations and those potential customers and potential coaches in your future. Guys, get tracking.